So it's about 4:30 on a Monday afternoon in mid-May. And in my former life, 22 years in the army and another 25 in the corporate world, this was the finish line. Time when you'd shut the laptop and head for the car and then start winding down. But out here on this path, I've realised something. If you're over 60, 65 like I am, winding down is just a polite way of saying giving up. And I think there comes a time in every bloke's life when he realises that the pack that he's carrying is simply too heavy. We spend decades picking up things that we're told that we need. Status, the need to be right, the pursuit of comfort. And we carry them until our backs start to break. And quite frankly, I've decided it's time to put a few things down. Not because I'm tired, but because I'm resetting. And today, while the rest of the world is heading for the armchair, I'm thinking out loud about the 5 things that I've stopped caring about and why it's the best decision that I've made in a decade. So the first thing I dropped was the need to be the lecturer. Now, this was hard for me. When you've spent years in leadership, you get used to being the man with the answers. You want to have the last word in every room, especially at home. But at 65, I've realised that being right is often the enemy of being effective. Now, I've talked about the lecturer and the lighthouse before. And a lecturer, well, that's exhausting. He's always chasing boats around the harbour, shouting instructions, trying to get them into the dock. Whereas a lighthouse, it just stands there and shines. It doesn't move, doesn't shout, just holds the line. I've stopped caring about winning an argument, whether that be with my wife or with my friends, doesn't matter. Now I just care about my own standards. So if I'm a lighthouse, the right people will find their way. The rest, that's their journey, not my weight to carry. So number 2, in the military, we had a thing that we used to call a chuff chart. It was a way of tracking how close you were to the end of a tour or service. And you'd cross off the days, looking for the next rank, the next bit of recognition. But here's the thing. The path doesn't care about your resume. The trees don't care what your pension pot looks like or what your title used to be. So I've stopped caring about the external chuff chart. My only metric now is capability. Did I do what I said I'd do today? Am I still the bloke who can show up when it's hard? If the answer is yes, And the rest is just noise. I've used the word puttering before. Puttering is for 90-year-olds. Me, I'm staying in the arena, but I'm doing it for my own dignity, not for an audience that doesn't really care anyway. So number 3, taking it easy. So this one normally gets me a bit of pushback. I've stopped caring about taking it easy. The world tells you that once you hit 65, you've earned the right to put your feet up. They frame retirement as a long, slow reward. I think that's a trap. Easy is where capability goes to die. I've stopped caring about being comfortable all the time. Just because it's 5 p.m. and the sun is still up doesn't mean I'm heading for the recliner. If I'm tired, I still show up for work. I still show up for the walk. I still go to the gym. If I'm uninspired, I still show up for this channel. And the moment you start prioritizing comfort over capability is the moment you start to erode. Personally, I'd rather be capable and tired at the end of the day than comfortable and useless. So which one are you choosing right now? But I'm curious, as you look at your own pack on your back, what's one thing you've realised that you just don't have the energy to care about anymore? Drop it in the comments. I read them all, and quite frankly, your insights are usually better than mine. And if this bloke's view makes sense to you, please stick around. Subscribing isn't a hard sell, it's just an invitation to the conversation. So, number 4, what they think. They say you shouldn't be starting a YouTube channel at 65. They say you should be settling down or acting your age. I've realised they're usually just protecting their own fears of getting older. I spent years worrying if I was doing the right thing according to the social script. Well, now I'm writing my own script. Standards aren't a feeling, as I've said it before. They're a line in the sand, and as long as I'm not crossing my own line, and I've stopped looking over my shoulder to see who's watching. If I'm the only one on this path at 4:30 in the afternoon, so be it. At 65, I don't have time to live someone else's version of my life. So lastly, I've stopped caring about the finish line. I'm taught that life is a race to a destination. Retirement, a certain age, a certain bank balance. But there is no finish line. It's just the next mile, the next conversation, the next day of holding the line. I'm not finishing my life. I'm just resetting it. I've stopped worrying about how many years are left and started focusing on the quality of the minute that I'm in. At 65, I don't have that kind of time to waste on things that don't add to my dignity. So the day's moving on and my pack is a bit lighter. I put down the need to be right, the need for status and the need for comfort. And quite frankly, I've never felt more capable than I do now. The walk doesn't care how far you go. Just go. And I'll see you on the next one. And whatever you do, don't slow down.